Let's talk about all of the books that I read in March and April. I'm going to talk about these in the order of least favorite to most favorite. And unfortunately, I'm going to start with some DNFs, and it is very unfortunate because I really thought I would love each of these. I'm going to start with my least favorite, which is Detour by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart. And this is a story of a group of people who are going to Saturn's moon, Titan, and when they come back, everything has changed. I feel like when this book was first marketed, it sounded very much like a standalone. It sounded like things changed and you were going to get the story of what happened when they came home. And let me start off with my issues with it because I didn't get all the way to the end. The character development and the story in the beginning was very cliche. This is written by two people who write for television, and so it may be very common for them to use cliches to do quick storytelling. It's not something I'm going to enjoy in my stories. I believe there were 5 people that were going to be going on this mission. In order to get character development of who they are and who they are leaving behind, we got some backstory on each of these characters. And when we got to the scientist, he was leaving behind his girlfriend who was like, I hate that your brain is so smart because you're a scientist and I'm just a beautician. And he's like, oh, but you built your own business. I love you anyway. You're so independent. And it was just, I reached the point where I just couldn't take anymore. And I went to Goodreads and I read reviews to see if my growing dislike was founded and if I was going to regret not reading the rest of this story. And there were a lot of people saying they were surprised that this was a series. I didn't realize it was going to be a series either. When they went to space, it was only like 20 minutes of space and came back. And so there really wasn't the sci-fi element that you were expecting, although I don't know what was wrong with the world when they got back. I do know that there was no resolution, there was no ending, it was just a cliffhanger. So I was very much okay putting this down. If you're interested in reading this, please do. It just absolutely was not for me. And so this one was a DNF, Detour by Rob Hart and Jeff Rake. This next one I was very excited about reading. That is Vigil by George Saunders. I never got to read Lincoln in the Bardo. It was on my TBR forever, and it's just not one that I guess I ever came across in the wild, and I just never got the chance to read it. So I was really excited to read Vigil. I actually got a e-arc of this one, but I saw it in Barnes & Noble the day it was released. I picked it up and started reading, and I was so sucked in. I just knew I was going to go home and read the whole thing in one sitting, but that is not what happened. I picked this up in January, and I don't think I decided to DNF it until like April. I tried so hard to read this, but the repetition, I do not like repetition in stories, and it was just so weird. And it's not even the weirdness that bothers me because I enjoy stories that are unique, that are weird. But I even tried listening to the audiobook, but again, the repetition, I don't even want to say it out loud because I'm going to annoy myself, but it was like R said, G said, R said, G said. I could not make myself get through this book. And I know that some people are loving it, and that really excites me because I think whatever it was that George Saunders was going for landed for some people. I was not one of them, and I'm very sad about it. That is Vigil by George Saunders. And the final book that I DNF'd, I don't know if I'm wanting people to talk me into trying it again, but I feel like I picked this back up several times after I was already at that feeling that I wanted to DNF, and I just could not push through it. That is The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. And this is a story of a beast that was vanquished. Our main character vanquished this beast years ago. And now the son of the man that he helped vanquish the beast has come and found him to ask for his help because the beast has returned. And that is such a wonderful premise. And our main character is also sharing his mind, his body with a demon. And I found that to be a very intriguing relationship. And I really enjoyed the dynamic between our main character and this demon, but I just could not push through the story. It is a very long one, and maybe I'll be convinced to pick it back up. But for now, it is a DNF, and I'm really sad about it. And then up next, we have my only 3-star read, which is Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. I am such a fan of Chuck Tingle's horror. I love Camp Damascus, and I also really enjoyed Bury Your Gaze. So I was really looking forward to checking out Lucky Day. And this one, it was okay. In this one, there is a catastrophic event, and our main character is a statistics person. And so there's a dynamic between the probability of what's going to happen and what is actually happening, and the understanding of our main character. And there's a lot of really wacky, really chaotic events that happen in this story. And I think I just didn't connect to it on the same level that I did his other stories, but I still enjoyed it. I'm landing somewhere in the middle with 3 stars, and I'm looking forward to his book that he has coming out later this year. It is going to be narrated by Mara Wilson, the same way these books have. I loved her narration. If you pick up any of Chuck Tingle's books, I would suggest that you also grab the audiobook because I do love those. And this was Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. Up next, we have the 4-star reads, and I'm going to start us off with volume 15 of One Piece. At this point, I'm not sure what else I can say about One Piece other than it is fun pirate adventures, and I'm still just really enjoying my journey with One Piece. And then we have Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. And this is a horror novel. It is fungal horror. I absolutely love fungal horror. And when I saw the name Spread Me, I thought that it just meant fungus wanting to be spread. And there's more meaning to this. It is an erotic horror, and I really did enjoy it. I love Sarah Gailey's writing so much, and I just love the uniqueness of the stories that she tells. We are in the desert with a research team who is trying to learn about some kind of microbes that are in the soil, and this fungus winds up infecting the crew, and it's just a really great, really fun time. I do recommend this one. It is Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. And then we have Elder Race, which I got the ebook on Kindle Unlimited, and I bought the audiobook off of Audible to do immersion reading. And this one, I was expecting a science fiction story when I went into it, but the first chapter has us following a princess as she is traveling to a tower to ask a sorcerer for help for her people to help them vanquish a demon. And at first I was really confused because I was picturing the book covers of Elder Race in my head, and I was like, how did I not know this was a fantasy? But as you get further into the story, you realize that the chapters alternate between points of view of the queen's daughter, and the sorcerer that she is asking for help is actually an anthropologist with a lot of technology. So the chapters are going back and forth between fantasy and science fiction, and it is so unique, as Adrian Tchaikovsky always does. I had a really good time with this. I am giving it 4 stars. That is Elder Race by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And this is actually the first in a series. The second novella is going to be coming out later this year, and I'm really looking forward to reading that this year as well. these next two books I'm going to talk about a little out of order because they are part of a series. They are Say You'll Remember Me and The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. The first book in the series I'm actually giving 5 stars, and the second one I'm giving 4 stars. So the second one belongs in this 4-star grouping, but it is set in the same world, so I would recommend reading Say You'll Remember Me before picking up The Night We Met, although you don't have to, because it is just like her Part of Your World series where it's just interconnected. But I did enjoy Say You'll Remember Me so much. This is about a woman whose mother has dementia and she needs to move back with her family to help her mother. But she has just met a guy that she really likes and she is leaving him behind. And like Abby Jimenez's best work, there's a lot of family dynamic here and some really great characters. I really like both of the characters in the story. And this is just another 5-star Abby Jimenez for me. Abby Jimenez has become my favorite romance author. So if you get a chance to read her, I highly recommend it. The second book, The Night We Met, she really had to take a lot of care with this one because the girl in this story is dating his best friend. And there's a scenario about the night that they met where she got to choose who to go home with, and she went home with his best friend. And she and the main guy character wind up becoming really great friends. And the guy that she is dating is not the best for her. He's had a lot of trauma, and it's just a really messy, really probably realistic situation. And I feel like Abby Jimenez wrote this so well. And I get why some people just don't want to read about it, because if they just want to read about love stories and they just want to read about happily ever afters, this one is a bit messy because she's falling for her boyfriend's best friend. But it's Abby Jimenez. I love her to the ends of the earth and back. And those are Say You'll Remember Me and The Night We Met. And I recommend both of those. Continuing on with the 5-star reads, we have A Box Full of Darkness by Simone St. James. Every single book I have read by Simone St. James has been a hit for me. She always writes about ghosts, and I absolutely love her stories. And this one, the siblings' brother disappeared when they were little, and they are going back home and they were trying to figure out what happened to their brother when he was little. And I just love everything that she writes, and I highly recommend you check out any of her stories, including A Box Full of Darkness by Simone St. James. And then up next on my 5-star list is The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. This is a mix between fantasy and mystery. In The Justice of Kings, we are following a young woman who is learning underneath one of the magistrates. She is, think of her as a young attorney who, in this world, women are able to be in the legal system. They are able to work their way up all the way to the highest magistrate. She is learning under somebody who has a lot of power in this realm, and she is grappling between being young and wanting to have a life and also being able to pursue this career that she is so good at. And this is a very unique story. I expected there to actually be much more courtroom drama than there was, but I still really enjoyed everything that I got. It's kind of like the genre mix that you get in The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. The plot is certainly different. I wouldn't compare them in the story, but I would compare them in the mix of genre that just felt unique and felt very intriguing and just a story that I really enjoyed. And I'm looking forward to finishing the rest of that trilogy and then reading the next one that is set in the same world. What's really exciting to me is people talk about how much horror there is in the next series, and I found there to be a lot of horror in this one. So I'm just looking forward to reading more Richard Swan, and this one was The Justice of Kinks. And then we have The Caretaker by Marcus Kliewer. If you have read We Used to Live Here, you really must read The Caretaker. Be sure to check out the trigger warnings if you need them, but I absolutely love this as much as I loved We Used to Live Here. The atmosphere that he brings, the weirdness, the what on earth is going on here, the moments of terror where you don't know what's going to happen, and those moments where you don't know what did happen are just so great. And I am just really loving Marcus Kliewer. I hope we get a lot more horror from him, and I would love to hear from you if you have read this one. And that is the last book on my list today. Please be sure to leave me a comment and let me know if you have read any of these, if you plan to read any of these, or just say hi and let me know you are here. And I will talk to you soon.